Hi and welcome to the Nursing Hub. Yes, I'm the same girl who has a dream of being a farmer down in Tasmania. One of the other things I also do is nursing. I work in community nursing. I've also worked in aged care. And there's a lot of myths surrounding our health and surrounding what happens to us when we get sick and why we stay well. So there's a lot of topics that I wanted to cover, and today I want to cover nursing homes. And there are so many myths surrounding nursing homes. I wanted to cover just a few, and the first one is that it's God's waiting room, that we go there to die. And I have to absolutely dispel this myth. Nursing homes are a graduated care facility, and so the majority of nursing homes will have a hostel type arrangement, and then they'll graduate all the way up to high care. And so in high care is normally the area that people see because they go to visit their loved ones when they're dying. And so they see all the other residents in the high care position. And high care means that you can't feed yourself, you can't dress yourself. Maybe you have trouble moving about in the bed, so you have to have someone to turn you. But that's the very last stage. But the first stage is the hostel stage. And people can come and go as they please. Many people still drive their cars. What it does do is it allows someone to not have to do their own cooking, not have to do their own housework or their washing. They get all the social interaction. And so it's not God's waiting room. But yes, people do go into a nursing home and they die there. But that's not just what they do. That's the first myth. Absolutely debunked. People are also concerned that they lose their independence. Well, I won't be able to do anything. I'll be a prisoner. No, you're not a prisoner. If you're safe, and this is the main tenet that people in nursing homes have to bear in mind, that if you're safe, you can do whatever you choose. So you can go up the street and have a coffee with your friends. You can go for a walk to the shops. You can do whatever you choose. When it stops being safe for you, perhaps you're falling over a little bit too often, then maybe someone can go with you. Perhaps you get lost. You can't quite remember your way back. And so that's not safe for you either. Safe if someone goes with you. Perhaps you're not capable, your lung function, or you're not able to walk. Someone can go with you. Pop you in a wheelchair and take you for a walk up to the park, take you for a walk to the shops, take you to have a coffee. There's nothing to say that you have to be locked into a nursing home. Dementia is a little bit different. People can still go out, but people diagnosed with dementia because their brain is eroding away. And that's when you can't really think. You can't think A, B, C. You can't progress thoughts together properly. And so we often have a locked unit in for people with dementia, but it still doesn't stop them going out. If a friend or a family member want to take them out for a coffee, go for your life. So you don't have a loss of independence. It's not God's waiting room. Another myth that we have surrounding aged care is that people are fed horrible things. One of the biggest things that I learnt in nursing, particularly with older people, is that swallowing is a really complicated process. Firstly, we have to get the food into our mouths, we have to chew it, and we have to form a ball that goes to the back of our throat, back of our tongue. And then we have to swallow that ball into our stomachs without it going into our lungs. So I'll show you a picture. We raise our esophagus up and the epiglottis closes over the top of it, so that when the food goes down, it lands in the stomach and doesn't go into the lungs. As we get older, and we particularly see it with dementia patients, that ability to raise the esophagus and close it with the epiglottis doesn't happen so well. And it happens with food that's difficult to chew and food that is really easy to swallow. So things like liquids, having a cup of tea, and chewing foods like salads and meat. And so what we've found is that there are certain consistencies that are easier to swallow, to go through that swallowing process. So if you go into a nursing home and you see somebody eating what looks like a plate full of mashed everything, you know, mashed meat, mashed carrots, mashed potato, mashed beans, then don't think that the nursing home is feeding them muck. Understand that that person has a swallowing problem, and what the nursing home is doing is stopping them from aspirating. And aspirating is where the food goes into the lungs instead of into the stomach. And the issue with that is that you don't just choke, is that the food goes into your lungs and it settles there and you can't get it out. And you develop pneumonia and you die. So while the layperson may look and think, oh, that's not a very nice meal, I don't think I'd want to eat it, the nursing home is actually feeding them the same meal as everybody else is getting. It's just vitamised. It's just turned into a consistency that they can swallow. So that myth is absolutely debunked as well. The third one I wanted to cover was people are left alone in nursing homes. The nursing staff are quite busy, and often visiting times are at times where the social activities have all finished. One of the things that I've noticed as a community nurse is that people's peers are also elderly and frail. And so people's social networks really decline as they age. Family don't visit as often, you know. And family, they've got family of their own, they've got lives of their own. And so the older person is often left on their own for days, weeks, months at a time without having anybody other than care staff come to see them. And that's usually just to perform a function, you know, whether it's to take them shopping or whether it's to administer their medication. And so their social life often dwindles as a result. So coming into a nursing home, what I've discovered, and it's probably, nursing homes are improving. Yes, they do have some way to go, but gee, they're a long way ahead. So the programs that I've seen of late are through the leisure and lifestyle program. So there are arts and crafts programs, there are cinema afternoons, there are happy hours, there are sing-alongs, there are outings, and all of these things, the person wouldn't have access to these things in their own home. So one of the things that I think of with a person in a nursing home is that they actually have a better social life and they are less alone than in the later stages living in their own home. And yes, it's living in their own home, but it becomes their prison. The final one that I want to cover is that nursing home staff are understaffed and underpaid. And I take my hat off to every person who works in a nursing home. They are gold. Every person that I know who works in a nursing home does it because they want the very best care for the people in their charge. And there aren't enough of them. And they're not paid anywhere near what they're worth. And they are gold. So hopefully that's dispelled some of the myths around nursing homes. Go and have a look at a nursing home. If you've got a family member that is potentially needing nursing care, go and have a look at all of them. You know, go at times that aren't necessarily visiting times. See what activities are on the go. See whether the staff know the relatives. See how they interact with the residents, and go in with a different outlook on it. Nursing homes aren't all that bad. In fact, some of them are bloody brilliant.